The sonar room is of utmost importance whenever the U-boat dives under the surface. The tutorial for the sonar room has been split into two separate parts, as both sonar and the tactical range recorder present in the sonar room both require more explanation than any of the remaining stations in the game. As soon as you lose radar contact, your top priority should be to re-establish contact using sonar. Pay close attention to the bearing and distance that the radar operator reports upon losing contact, because if you act quickly, you should be able to pinpoint the exact location and continue tracking the contact without too much speculation. This is also where the DRT really comes into its own, because if you use it on a regular basis, the plot that you have drawn will be of great help in terms of coming up with a reasonable search plan. If, however, you lose contact and fail to re-establish it for a while, then this part of the game may really test your deduction ability. That being said, let's take a look at the Sonar Console. On the right hand side, you can see the round plate with the sonar indicator. You can drag it around with the left mouse button pressed in order to search in the direction of your choosing. However, most of the time it is advisable to order the sonar man to search a given sector, which you can determine by clicking on the appropriate icon on the right. You can also change the direction of the sweep by clicking on the arrow icon. Above the sonar indicator, you can see the tactical range recorder, built into the sonar stack. It measures the distance to the target by burning dark traces onto a special paper and serves to visualize how your distance to the tracked contact changes with the passage of time. On the left hand side, you can see a round CRT display which shows current distance to target as well as its bearing drift. If the line bends to the right, then it means that the contact is moving to our right, bearings are increasing, and vice versa. If it stays straight, it means that the bearing is constant, which generally leads to a well-executed approach. Now, let us touch upon a very important subject, and that is the various limitations of the sonar. As you may or may not know, the sonar technology in 1942 did not allow to determine the depth of the contact unless the operator was a very highly skilled individual. Still, there was all sorts of information that the sonar man could infer from analyzing the contact, and you are going to hear them in the form of various reports. In general, the most valuable piece of information will be the estimated depth of the contact, which is only reported as shallow, medium, or deep. Make sure to keep track of that information, as it will be of utmost importance when preparing to launch your depth charge barrage. Another thing you absolutely need to remember about it is that sonar won't work if you exceed a head standard. Therefore, in order to effectively search for the U-boat, you need to go at a head standard or slower. A pulsating icon will appear to remind you of that should you forget. Other limitations that you need to be aware of is that the sonar will fail to receive any echoes from the stern due to propeller noise. When searching, try making turns in a way that will avoid pointing the stern towards probable U-boat locations, as you won't get any echoes from there. The echoes are also blocked by a merchant ship propeller noise, as well as by exploding depth charges, so please take that into account if you cannot find the U-boat for a prolonged period of time. However, the most typical sonar limitation that you will come across most often is the so-called minimum sonar range. The minimum range stems from the fact that the sonar beam is pointing downwards, but in 1942, due to technological limitations, you could not point it exactly downwards. Therefore, the closer you get to your contact and the deeper it is, the bigger the chance of the contact going under the sonar beam and avoiding detection. All in all, if you lose contact and cannot regain it for a long time, it may mean a lot of different things. Perhaps the U-boat is stalking you, or is very close, but deep below the surface. Perhaps one of your attacks has threatened it and it is limping away in silent mode, submerged as deeply as it can. Or perhaps it's already on the other flank of the convoy, which you could not detect as it sneaked away under the protective bubble of merchant ship propeller noise. Any of these and a few more could be the truth, so remember to use the DRT regularly so that your search plans are based on solid foundations instead of just guesswork. This concludes the presentation of Sonar in Destroyer.